Please be seated. One of the nice things about historical narratives, sometimes, is that they're nice and neat. Characters and events are portrayed as though they were much simpler and less complicated than they probably actually were. And so we get profiles of individuals that are laudatory or that are scoundrels. We get narrative of events that seem, by the way in which the history is told, to have, if not been fated from the beginning, certainly to been on an inevitable arc. And yet what we know from living through our own times is that the events of people coming into relationship with each other and striving for things and struggling and contending against one another are anything but a straight line. And so on a day in which we commemorate saints, exemplars in history of those who have led lives inspired in their faithfulness, it does us good to remember that individuals that we might call to mind with the moniker of saint were not only exemplary people up on a pedestal out of reach, without faults, without struggles, without things in their lives that they contended against. And I offer this to you because for me, that makes an occasion like All Saints Sunday more accessible. I can't get to people who were virtuous all the time. I can't get there. Maybe you can get there. But they feel to me as though they are out of reach, they are beyond the realities of the day-to-day. Not so much the profound events of our lives, but more of the common and the ordinary events in which choosing the path of rightness or righteousness is sometimes one that passes us by in the mundane. And yet we need their lives. We need not only the profiles of history, but the lessons of history to propel us forward to be all that we can be. We need to marinate in those examples of faith so that we don't need to make it up from scratch ourselves. We need to be aware. We need to be knowledgeable. We need to be open-hearted and receptive to coming under the influence of lives that lift us up. I don't know how you feel about marinades. I'm a big fan. There's a particular carne asada marinade that lemon juice and orange juice and soy sauce and a little white vinegar and some chili powder and some cumin and some cilantro, and you put it all together and then you marinate that overnight and then you put it on the grill. That's the best carne asada you will have ever had. And it makes an enormous difference that it had that time to steep in all of those different flavors and to absorb those flavors than if I just slapped a flank steak on the grill with nothing. And in the same way, your lives and mine are made different when we marinate in influences around us. And we have no shortage of those ingredients. In this particular week, my mailbox has been stuffed with all kinds of messages that I've been marinating in ahead of Election Day on Tuesday. Maybe you have as well. Most of them I would not choose to marinate in because they're toxic. but it affects me nevertheless. I can't escape it. So it makes it all the more important that I choose ingredients that I want to marinate in. My life, my actions, my behaviors are in large part a product of the influences of those around me. I'm a creature of my own time. Just as the saints that we lift up in history were creatures of their own time. And yet, we have this opportunity that flows across the generations to take examples not just from contemporary influences, but also from historical ones. We have the opportunity to choose to be agents, chefs, if you will, of our own marinade. You don't have to be. You can just let whatever comes to you from whatever the easiest and closest available sources be your marinade. But you can also choose those ingredients, and it will have an effect upon you. So on this day, we remember people like Teresa of Avila, Teresa of Calcutta. We remember people like Augustine of Hippo. We remember those well-known saints with great notoriety. But we also recognize that saints are not just people that an ecclesiastical authority has held a council about and taken a vote and put on a calendar. We also will be remembering the lives of individuals whom you have asked to be included in our prayers today, who have formed a part of the marinade of your life, who have influenced the choices and the direction that you have taken, and give thanks for their lives. And there's one last thing about this idea of marinating in the examples of the lives of others. It doesn't just come to you. It also flows from you. You are marinade for the world around you. Your words, such as you are mindful of them, are influential upon other people. When you say things that are gracious, when you say things that are uplifting and inspiring towards other people, that has an effect upon other people's dispositions and their attitudes. If you ever say things that are condescending towards other people, disparaging towards other people, that tear other people down, it's just because others are doing it around us, right? I mean, this is kind of the age that we live in. Sophisticated people make cynical comments and they tear down other people around them. So we're just doing what other people are doing, but then we contribute to that marinade in our world. And we would be good to ask ourselves, do I want to be that ingredient in the world in which I live in? And so it is a double-edged sword. It is a two-way street. It is both being conscious and taking agency over the influences that we choose for our own lives, the voices that we put in our own heads, the examples of the people that we take after. But then it is also looking at the people around us and saying, what kind of reputation do I want to be said about me when other people are invoking my name? That is what will give memory to those who will tell about the history of our time. That is what will be the ingredients that will compose the stories of this present generation by those who are going to come after us. And it is a privilege that we have as followers of Christ to have the utmost exemplar of the one who came into the world in order to create a powerful marinade for all who came after him to live in love of others. I'm ready for some carne asada. I don't know what the next thing is that you're going to have, that you're going to delight in, that's going to inspire your taste buds. But I hope that you might think similarly about the next thing that you want to do and to say that will cause other people to go, my life is better because of her. My life is better because of him. I am more than I would have been because I'm in the presence of that person. That's what Christ came into the world in order to give us the gift of. Our lives are lifted up and more than they would have been without that guy. But it wasn't just a one-way street of us being on the receiving end. The reading that we heard from Ephesians says that we have been given an inheritance, not just for our own use, but for our own passing on. We are stewards in this present time of what we have been given so that others who come after us may also be blessed. So may you marinate richly in the good examples of the saints who have come before us. And may your words and actions create in you a delicious marinade for those who are coming after you, so that in this present generation, there will be able to be people who say about us, well done, good and faithful servants. Our world was a better place because we were in it. Amen.